Okay, so we're holding now Eis Gimel. The being them explanation is as follows. Rashi can just nit by the Nugiling, it Pirish Klamalam has been a Chaviri, Tatum Malam Kasakeli Lodi, or Postage Be'el till this Arian Umation. Now, Rashi cannot be content with the explanation from the Gemara that anyone who teaches Torah to another person is considered by the Torah as if he fathered them. Why? Because the pasuk says these are the children of Moshe, of Aaron and Moshe. Then in pasuk the word Gishtanen, please tell this Moshe wollten gekent sagen, as the pasuk nutz dem word till this al shem hamushal. Now, if the Torah stated that these are the descendants of Moshe, so you could say that when we use the word tell this, it's figuratively. As Dorktev was Linden Teren is Malay because that by teaching another person's child Torah, the Torah considers it as if he fathered them. Avram and Anefesh Osu Bechar, Shechnis and Tachas Kanaveshilo. Malavakosav Kilo Asar. As Rashi explains that what does it mean that the souls he made in Charan? Rashi says that Avram brought them under the wings of Shekhinah. And it's considered by the Torah as if he made them. Now there's a text Rashi Vaiter, B'shach HaSalim B'dat Torah, in Oz the Apostle, Vishnad L'Banacha, Eloha Talmidim, Atzinu M'chomagim Shatalmidim Kriyim Banam. Similarly, later on in the Pasuk, Torah says, speaking about learning Torah, Rashi says that, what does it mean? You shall teach them to your children. This refers to the students. In other words, we find that students are called sons. Now, what's the issue over here? Aaron Umesha. Here in the pasuk it says these are the children of Aaron and Moshe. Their pasuk, their mud ze bechada machta. The Torah mentions them in like a single breath. As be'ela zainin till this Moshe punkt wie sie zayin till this Aaron. What does it mean be'ela till this Aaron and Moshe? That these the kids of Aaron are mamish the same to Moshe as well. It's just to us. So now let's be real over here. It's difficult to understand. We came at zugleich and das was sie zayin till this Aaron, but their Retzias is a tel loda von Aaron. So then, was sie zayin till this Moshe zu lieb zayin lernen Torah mit zeh, was mit den ganzen Ilische bezeh. So the Chayrin kein Chiddush, and es ist aber the Chayrin kein Chiddush, ze etz mit Sichos, und we can, if them zog, boys, malav akosav ki li v'ladei. Now, how can it be said that Aaron's children are Moshe's children, just like Aaron's children? Their entire existence came about because Aaron fathered them, while Moshe only learned with them. Now, without minimizing how important that is, it cannot be said that Moshe brought about an entirely new state of being. So, seemingly, all this can be said that because Moshe taught them Torah, Torah considers it as if he fathered them. So, this is what's bothering Rashi. So, then Rashi has thus bavard the puzzle with the Moses and he verte b'yim dibra Hashem as Moshe. So therefore, Rashi explains that the pasuk clarifies this point by adding the words, on the day Hashem spoke to Moshe. Thus is Madrish, as the Torah was Moshe the land with Ibnei Aaron is given Mashalamim b'pei Gevura. But the far hot the land was Ufketon Gevura as Nasril to the Shalei. It's given as Al Limod. So the Iber Gemar Zer Etzem Etzias Beruchnis. Biz is an damit Gevaran till this Moshe Kedil Kamran. Now, the Torah emphasizes that the Torah Moshe taught Aaron's son was what he learned from the mouth of Hashem. As much this brought about a mighty act, Aaron's sons, because his children. In other words, the study that Aaron Moshe learned transformed and remade their entire existence in a spiritual sense says to the extent that they became Moshe's children, as the Rebbe will explain soon. Dalili. Al takdom zum Anteda hat der Eberste gesagt, Menschen, soll übergeben jeden Vaata, Shemet Yishmol Bekeli, Shmartem es Brisi, Yisem Niskul Vekol Amim, Atem Tiyulim, Amlat Askenim Vegei Kodesh. As preparation for Mount Torah, Hashem instructed Moshe to tell the Jewish people, now if you listen to my voice and keep my covenant, shall be a treasure for me amongst all people, shall be for me a kingdom of Canaan and Kodesh holy nations. Let's say, so what does that mean? As Mount Torah v'kabal zaterat ufkid on Hashini ikari in their etzem metzius von Eden, which means that the giving of the Torah and acceptance by the Jewish people brought about a fundamental change in the essential nature of their existence. We call ha'amim. Now, beforehand, the Yidden, before Mount Torah, they were like all other nations. Durch Mount Torah, an Yidden geworden anders. Through Mount Torah, the Yidden became different. Oizgetilt. They became distinct. Segula mikol ha'amim. They became a treasure amongst all people. Amlechas Canaan v'gei Kodesh, a kingdom of Canaan and the holy nations. The far is Mount Torah given in an Eifen as the Eberster hat sich bewiesen zu Yidden und mit Gvura. Kolel Lapidim Kolel Shefer. Therefore Hashem revealed to the Jewish people and Mount Torah with might. In other words, there was thunder, lightning, and the sound of the Shefer. It was also gepeilt Hashine in the Metzius von Yidden. This brought about a change in the fundamental being of the Jewish people. Shmias Hatibres is given mipi Gvura. And therefore, we see that the Yidden heard the Ten Commandments from the mouth of Gvura. So, Mount Torah, before Mount Torah, the Yidden were like Mikol Amim. Through Mount Torah, Hashem chose the Yidden, they became a school of Mikol Amim, they became a distinct and different entity. So, that's why Mount Torah revealed, therefore, Hashem revealed himself to the Jewish people by the giving of the Torah with the Gvura, and this brought a change in the fundamental being of the Jewish people. We bald as there we some these school is verbunden mit Mount Torah, unabhängig von der Schwartem Esprisi, Shmiras Torah. That is the Jewish existence as a treasure is connected with the giving of Torah and dependent on their keeping Hashem's covenant. Shmartem es brisi, Shmiras Torah, observing the Torah, verstanden is understood as them keach from Mount Torah to kennen uftan Hashine Yatzis in Yidden is that I giving geworden in Torah. So it's understood that the power of giving of Torah to bring about this like radical change in the very existence of the Jewish people is invested in Torah itself. This also it reflects Rashi's choice of wording. Moshe taught them what he learned from the mouth of Hashem. Yes, as the Torah. Since the Torah that he taught specifically to Aaron's son was what he learned from the mouth of Hashem, Moshe was allein gehört und gewollt und gelernt von Ebersten. Moshe himself heard and learned directly from Hashem. Hat sie in sich gehabt begiloi dem Kriach HaGvura from Mount Torah. So he had in it the revealed Gvura of Mount Torah. Which means that Moshe had the power of Torah to change Yidden. And the far nasi l'tela shalei. Well, sein limud had aufgetan ha'ilada ruchnis. So this teaches us that Moshe taught Aaron's sons. They became his children because his teaching brought about the birth in a spiritual sense. So married to Chiddush. That we see that Moshe, by teaching Aaron's children, he was able, because he had the koyach of Mount Torah, that to change, he was able to change him spiritually. Hey, Apia now, as we'll tell this, Moshe is nicht nur an Inge von Kili, the nurse is with David to tell us Aaron. Now that we explain, now when we say that the descendants of Moshe means not only that it is as if Moshe fathered Aaron's sons, but that his relationship to them was actually similar to that of Aaron himself, and they became his children just as they were Aaron's children. But when they verstehen, was der Pasuk is done, Medai b'yoyim dibra Hashem with Moshe. Niet miyoyim. Now we can appreciate the choice of words and the pasuk that says, we said, b'yoyim dibra Hashem, on the day Moshe spoke, and not from the day. Pungvi by Elodes Gashmis is doch nicht shayach zu sagen, as the Elodes Azach was chazit sich über Mermo. Elodes tut sich oif in der erste Rega, der doch kommt fire, blazed, der wachsen von dem Vlad, bekanntnos regardless. Now, when fathering a child in the physical sense, it can't be said that a child's conception is repeated several times. The conception takes place at one time, and from the moment on of conception, then it just grows and develops. So the Rebbe says, similar this when it comes to spiritual conception. Das was nasa ilu al tilu shalei, hat ze aufgetan b'yoyim di Hashem es Moshe. Mit den ersten Limud, was Moshe hat gelernt, bei Zundern mit den Aaron, die Teire Shalom und Peagvura. Now, what does it mean on the day that Hashem spoke to Moshe? Through the first teaching that Moshe communicated to them individually. In other words, he taught them what he learned from the Peagvura. When Moshe taught them later, their Shpatadik Limud from Moshe with Bnei Aaron, it's going to be even as durch them nasa ilu tilu shalei. Es ist nur die Meile von Kol HaMelam, das bin Chavir, die Meile because of Ki'ili Lodi K'chaman Tzuzayim. Now, when we say B'yem Dibra Moshe, because through teaching that Moshe communicated to them individually, teaching what he learned from the mouth of Hashem, Moshe taught them later, he did not make them his children. In other words, he did not bring about a new birth. By teaching them at a later time, he only received the merit of anyone who teaches Torah. Another person is considered by the Torah as if he followed them, as we'll explain in the Sip side. Basically, this is not understood. Bamidbar haben doch die Jiden Bnei Aaron beklommen gehört von Eberstein allein mit Peagvura. Der Sarah said Dibris, bis sie seinen gesagt geworden mit Dibra Echel, und danach die zwei Dibris von Anechi will ihr Lacha. Hat sich doch schön bei alle Jiden Bnei Aaron beklommen aufgetan, die Elade Ruchnis, beim Herrn, die Dibris von Peagvura. Wie kann man sagen, dass die Bnei Aaron seinen geworden, till es Moshe durch dem, was Moshe hat, danach sie übergesagt, besonders, was hat gehört mit Peagvura. Now, based on this, we have a question. At the giving of the Torah, the Jewish people, including Aaron's sons, heard the Ten Commandments from Hashem himself, from Peagvura. As we know, they heard the source of the verse. First, as they were delivered all together in one utterance. Again, afterwards, as the first two commandments, I am Hashem, you shall not have any other gods. So all of you, including Aaron's sons, were already conceived in a spiritual sense through hearing the commandments from the mouth of Hashem. Now, how then can it be said that Aaron's sons became Moshe's descendants as a result of Moshe afterwards conveying to them individually when he heard Peagvura? This happened if you're saying that hearing Peagvura and the Kechamantir has the power to change somebody, a one-time effect. So that already happened and was accomplished by Hashem himself. What exactly did Moshe do? Therefore, Rashi says, in his wording, he taught them what he had learned from the Peagvura. Der soll sich auftan, die Elade Ruchnis, der Torah ist nicht genug für Shmiya Ba'alma. In order to bring about the spiritual birth that came about through Torah, hearing the words of Torah is not enough. In other words, those words have to be learned. Das, was die Jiden haben bloß gehört, die Dibris von Eberstein allein, nur die Torah muss leimed werden. Nilwad werden. Niklat werden wie im Shemir. It's not enough just to hear Torah. You have to grasp Torah. A person has to understand Torah. Und das hat Moshe aufgetan durch them was Linda Mashalom and Mipiyagwara. This is what Moshe accomplished. He taught them when he learned from Mipiyagwara. Moshe hat nicht nur gerät die andere Chastibris. Moshe didn't only just convey or tell over the last 8 dibris. Nor mit ze gelernt die alle Aseret dibris. He taught them all Aseret dibris with ze halachas printed with all the halachas and the details. Baal that had gelernt bazundim with Ibnei Aaron. And since he learned separately with Ibnei Aaron, the Iber, therefore, Nasa Ela Telu Shalai, they became his students. Because it wasn't just like they were listening, they actually understood from Moshe Rabbeinu. Well, if them bir now come in the Cha'eda fragen. Now, based on the above explanation, we can ask. Wenn wir wohl gesagt, as their father, was Moshe hat gelernt mit Ibnei Aaron, is Malala because of Ki Ili Eladai, Nerbeter Skar, Waldman gekend verstehen, was darf Ibnei Aaron werden angerufen und told us Moshe, because Moshe hat gelernt mit alle Yidden. Now, if it would have said that Moshe taught Torah to Aaron's sons, and as a Skar, the Torah considers it as if he fathered them, so it's possible to explain Aaron's sons are specifically referred to as Moshe's children, even though he taught the Torah to the Dar people. As we said, that teaching Aaron's sons individually, basically, es ist wel gebracht früher, darf die Limit von Bnei Aaron, so eine Inge von der Flimmische Din, at welchem in Bakol das Scham Yuchid, because teaching Aaron's sons individually went beyond the measure of the law, and therefore was worthy of a unique reward. Our related beer now, as does is not nur as Schar Nasu Ki'ilu Tele Shalei, although that was Linda Mashalom Be'Gwara is geworden Ayelada Rukres, is that movement. Now, based on what we explained now, the Aaron's sons being considered as Moshe's children was not merely a reward, but rather they became his children as a result of him teaching them what he learned from Mipiyagvura, and that's what brought a new birth for them in a spiritual sense. It's not understood. And them is doch lachera ki nafke minnet sim is mochuyv zu lernen mit zweiten, also mit Tudel von Rishur Sadin. There's no difference whether he was obligated to do so or he went with Rishur Sadin. If so, what is the difference between Aaron's son and the entire Jewish people whom Moshe taught? The balance of the pale. As Moshe gelernt mit Mashalom and Piyagwara mit all Yidden, but the Chal Yidden get that very nice until this Moshe. So why is it only Moshe's kids or Aaron's kids that became Tolda Shalai? It should be all Yidden because Moshe taught everybody with Piyagwara. So the Rebbe says that the explanation is as follows. Das was dim that Torah pearl dashine v'rilada in the Adam Alemed. This that Torah study brings about a change and a new birth in the student who learns is nid mitzad the melamed nor mitzad the Torah. Was the farmok im kechakvura. So this that it could change somebody is not because of the teacher, the power of what the Eberster gave in Torah. Under the word. But ein learned to mit atzveiten bei von einer Maschlam Piyagvura mit Sadachiyuv is hein ms as es tut sich auf Eilade Beruchni ist beim Talmud, aber der Eilade ist sich Yachas zu Melamed. Nor is sich nicht mit Yachas zu Melamed, nor so the Teda of Piyagvura the Mitzvah. So he says this, the Rebbe says, even when a person teaches Torah to another, teaching him what he learned from Hashem because of an obligation, so yes, it does bring a new spiritual birth to the student. However, the birth is not associated with the teacher, but rather with the Torah, and more specifically with Mipiyah Gvura, who commanded him, who commanded that the Torah be taught, and Torah has a possibility to transform. Another with the Magas Mitzrayim, or another for Yisai Sai from the Eberstein. Amesha as they get done, Al Pitzivi Hashem B'Shtichosei. Und der Melamed bakum Skar farm Mekayim sein Mitzvah Ura, a Brit Pula Sedlado. Now, just to give a marshal, Hashem refers to the plagues with which the Egyptians were afflicted as my wonders. Now, even though they were brought about by Moshe, Moshe was acting according to Hashem's command as a shliach. So therefore, the plagues are not attributed to him. Similarly, a teacher receives reward for carrying out the commandments of Hashem to teach Torah to others. However, the fact that this instruction has brought about a new birth for them, in a ruchnistic sense, is not ascribed to him. Dafke wenn sie sein Lernen Torah mit dem Zweiten ist nicht b'midas Rishus Adin, Silver Rishus Nurses, and even from the King Rishus Adin. Dafke when you go to the Rishus Adin, was tut mit das Atzmei, then all the Ziladen is a Chimsachas to him. And that's why it was Misachas, because Moshe went the Fnim Rishus Adin. See what how many we have left for Zion. Okay, let's try to do one more. Look at this. Nor over first we have to understand. Appear al kumtes as the Iya Fanasa Il Tidushalai Shayach Aleph Nerva Mesha was that Alain Gilan Mipiag Vora or Mela Zain Lernen mit the Aring mit the Aring Gahat of Keach Ufsetan and Zain Helada Durchnis. Now, according to the above, we said it would appear that the teaching a student in a manner that he becomes his descendants is no longer possible. It was possible only for Moshe, as he alone learned from Hashem, and therefore his teaching, Aaron's son, had the potential to bring about a new spiritual birth within him. And Beis, on Ner B'Yem Di Hashem is Moshe, and says given the Aschalas Alim Mashalam Piagura mit Bnei Aaron, and also this took place only in the day that Hashem spoke to Moshe when he first began teaching, or what he learned with Piagura. So it's over. We can mean from them upward as Kol Lamed has been Chavei Tzedek because of Ki'ili Yiladi. So how could it be that anyone who teaches Torah to another person is considered by Hashem as if he fathered them? Yeah, then the explanation is bloß bei Moshe, wenn wird auskommen, als mit zulegen dem Wort Moshe in the Pasuk, is the term Ramas Dar Sipar. Ein Molekir Uftu, was is given Shach bloß by Moshe. Now, we're one to say that by teaching Torah to another, the person becomes his child, so that's relevant only to Moshe. Adding his name in the pasuk, the Torah would merely be telling us a story that happened only once, and it was Moshe who achieved this affecting our children. Im Shidduch Miklar, a lake zif zu sagen, on who. Okay, we'll start with Thomas Strauben. Okay, we'll start again from tomorrow. We'll start again from Zion. Okay, have a good day.